Coming up next on the CHGO Cubs podcast, presented by our friends at Toyota. Shota's back. What's the next move for the Cubs rotation? Who might that be? We'll dig into that. Plus, Christopher Morel, anyone? Morel reunion? CHGO Cubs. And Kyle Tucker's report card.
Let's do that.
CHGO Cubs next.
Whoa.
Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by our friends at Toyota. Let's go places. Luke Stuckmeyer, Joey Christopoulos, and special day, Sarah running the ones and twos.
She back.
Go Cubbies.
I see our guy Gary Ross isn't here, but just on the other side of this wall, I just saw Gary Ross making comments on the Bears podcast going on. Gary Ross, he's in, he's out, he's in, he's out.
Interesting.
Gary says he's in if we'll talk about Trianto.
It's a double date.
Now that you're talking about Christopher Morel, I'm going to be out.
You're out?
I'm out.
Oh, okay. Thanks to televiewers and then our producers
We
out on the
just
whole
got
show.
you back.
It's just a little side note. It's not the brunt of the show. Tucker, report card. Nobody in on that?
Becky, Tucker sucked.
Get some Jackson Ferris talk. Yeah.
Well, okay, show's over. Let's talk with Gary about IU football.
Yeah, people were dropping Fs on the, not F-bombs. Well, maybe F-bombs, but
the
also
report
Fs
card?
in the Twitter. Yeah, it was saying we were going to talk about it on the show today. Declines the qualifying offer. As the days pass on, as the sand passes through the hourglass, it looks like his Cubs career is coming to an end. Today's the day. Today's the day to do it.
I don't... Listen, Gary, I know we're not going to spend a ton of time talking about Morel. I just think I heard a lot of people being like, why not? He could be our Turner. He could buy low. We'll get to it later. The big news yesterday, and we talked about it a lot, is that Shota is taking the $22 million qualifier. Now, he's one of a few players that did it, right? Like, I wasn't sure if he was going to do it, but I thought, yeah, I think he's going to come back. I think he really likes it that much, and I'm not sure that he saw that there was a ton of better deals necessarily, at least on the horizon, because I think it's going to be interesting to see how teams decide to spend this offseason. I really do. And the way he finished was on a public stage where everybody got to see it, and it wasn't going well.
Yes.
And there's no way to hide that, right?
Can I ask you 24 hours later, maybe not just the player, but the $22 million? I mean, is that still sitting right with you? Because
it doesn't.
I'm happy that the player is coming back, but the more I start thinking about the $22 million, and the more maybe the reality sets in about the financial constraints the Chicago Cubs put on themselves, the more it maybe worries me about either maybe that big ticket free agent item coming in here and what they do.
I really don't think it should, because it's a 1-year deal. At the end of the year, they can be done with Hap, they can be done with Tyone, they can be done with Seiya, they can be done with Shota.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that it started, it not even starting. It looks as though their philosophy is, here's the deal. We're not doing anything long term. We're going to have all these expiring contracts, and once the labor stuff is decided, we fully believe there's going to be a salary cap, and we believe there's going to be teams that have excessively gone about this, and we will be in a position, unlike other big market teams, to just say, we want that guy, we want that guy, and we want that guy. And teams will have to unload, and maybe that's how they feel like they can take advantage of what might be coming to Major League Baseball. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's really what they're thinking, or if they're just saying, we're not going into any labor stoppage or possible stoppage. with a bunch of money on the books.
Right, and
is also
and Gary in the comments here, payroll will be somewhere between 230 to 240 this year. Just be prepared. That's an opinion. It could be an accurate one. Cubs, payroll sits around 190 right now. That's factual. So when you're looking at that 190, and it's an interesting dance that's happening right now of the Chicago Cubs aren't going. This is just a narrative, and it could be true or not, but this is something that Cubs fans, I think, talk about. Of the Chicago Cubs are not going to go over the luxury tax or not spend X amount of dollars because they're worried and they believe because of the work stoppage there will be a salary cap in baseball after the work stoppage. Do we understand that there already is a salary cap for the Chicago Cubs placed upon them by ownership?
Yes.
So I guess my thing is I don't understand what the difference is between them being scared about a salary cap when they already have one in principle for themselves.
Yeah,
That's a snake that eats its own head. And I think that's what gets people spun around. And if you spin around long enough, you can get confused and start talking yourself into a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, I do agree with Gary on this one. I think set your expectations maybe as the Cubs are going to get one starting pitcher.
Right.
Most likely via trade, but never know. And then one bat. Now, do I think that means Schwarber and Cease? I do not. I do not think it will be spent that way. Do I think that means...
Do you think the likelihood of one of those guys went down yesterday because of the move with Shota? Because I think it did slightly, in my opinion. I'm not writing it off.
Knock their level down from, listen, we're not going to get Cease, but maybe we can... Well, we'll talk about King. Maybe you're looking at King. Maybe you're looking at...
Zach Gallen.
And maybe you're talking about just... Merrill Kelly doesn't fit what they're looking... They need somebody that throws hard.
He's 37 years old, too.
Yeah, you need somebody that throws hard. And so that's still what I'm looking at. And
Ranger Suarez, no, then, from me.
Right, but I don't know what they wanted for Mackenzie Gore. I'm sure it was pretty high, the trade for Mackenzie Gore. And I don't know that they're going to be willing to do that either, even now. But that's the type of stuff they're going to be kicking the tires on, I think. I don't think Bregman is coming. I think they look at it and say, okay, we need to spend because we know we need another pitcher and we know we need another bat, but we can gamble on Shaw's bat and we can gamble on Owen Casey's bat or Ballesteros' bat, and hopefully we still have enough prospect capital and things to move around and get a player that will help us in the rotation, but may not be what the fan base is thinking.
It also feels like one of the bigger gambles is the hope and potential of Jackson Wiggins coming into this rotation and maybe being that high velocity swing and miss type guy. And look, the 40 man's only at 32 right now. So that's the part about it that I'm not getting pessimistic about it. But I after yesterday, I'm excited that Shota's coming back because I do deeply believe he will have a bounce back season in the sense of he will look better next year than he did in September this past year.
Yeah, I hope so.
We gotta hope so, right? But at the same time, my hopes and dreams of maybe that Dylan Cease, Tatsuya Imai, something along there. I think it went down just a slight little touch when you start to look at the landscape of their 40 man, what the Chicago Cubs usually spend, how much is left with the dollars already allocated for next year. I think it went down just a little bit, which we said yesterday. I think it opens up the door, which you just rightly said, for maybe a trade to bring in high-end talent and pitching-wise.
All right, let's talk about one of the pitchers then, Michael King.
Yeah.
Right? Cease is my number one choice from the Padres. Michael King declined his option from the Padres, so he's a free agent. 15 starts, ERA of 3.44. Okay, so it's a decent ERA, but it's sort of Shota-ish, to be honest.
Yeah.
But only 15 starts and injuries. What you like about I look at King and say to myself, this is a guy they could look and say, this could be our Boyd.
Absolutely.
They look at him and say, can we repeat the Boyd magic and bring in King? Because if you go back, a year before that, he's in the top 7 in the Cy Young voting in 2024, and his ERA was below 3 at 2.94. He's 30 years old. Here's the thing that scares me. And another reason I connect him to the Boyd experiment, which worked out terrifically. Again, if they signed King and King was the pitcher they added to the rotation, I think most people would look at it like they did Boyd last year. Great, but that's not all you're doing, right?
Right, and great, but what does this mean in terms of bankable production? Because that was the mystery box of Matthew Boyd, and we opened it up, and it was an all-star.
Yeah.
Great. What would the Michael King box possibly bring in 2026?
That's right, and he's only thrown 100-plus innings twice in his career, 2023 and 2024. The danger about going for another Matthew Boyd-type win is that you already have a lot of, I hope, I wish, uncertainty in, like you say, if you want to put this into a box and wrap it up for the holidays, Boyd's arm bouncing back is still an uncertainty because he rode that arm last year.
And we can both agree really quick that he ran out of gas by and large from what he looked like first half of the year to second half of the year.
So whether you want to say Jackson Wiggins, that is still a uncertainty.
Yes.
Even Boyd's arm bouncing back is some uncertainty. Put it whatever level you want it at. Shota bouncing back is uncertainty. Steele being a factor in your rotation, coming off of Tommy John, his second, is an uncertainty. Cade Horton has finished his last 2 years injured. That's more certainty than any of those guys. But
so Jamison Tyone, 2026,
right?
Yeah,
you're looking at Tyone as your certainty on the team, and Colin Ray being able to be a number 6.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's a lot of hoping and wishing and possibilities, and it could all strike gold, and you would have something. I just want that starter that they bring to be some certainty on this team. And then the other stuff can all be gravy.
That's where I think myself as a Cubs fan, and I talk to other Cubs fans, but I don't want to speak for the whole deal, the whole nation of Cubs fans. I think that's just where we get frustrated, right? Is that they seem to be fine consistently taking these calculated rolls of the dice and saying we're going to spend $15 million here, but we won't spend $30 million for probably a higher percentage of hit rate and certainty.
Yeah.
And that's the question between teammates, Dylan Cease and Michael King, in my opinion. Let's start with some of the pros really quick. K rate, 24.7. On the pro side, that is on the high-end mark for Chicago Cubs pitchers.
Yeah.
That is more swing and the miss. Con side, lowest since 2021 for Michael King. His expected ERA has jumped every single season in the last 4 years from 2.81 in 2021 to 4.31 last year. Where is it? Corey Seacrest here in the comments here. And I'm just going to read off of the internet. Michael King has dealt with multiple injuries, including a long thoracic nerve issue that affected his right shoulder and then left knee inflammation. He was sidelined for several months due to the shoulder injury, and after returning, quickly re-injured himself with knee inflammation, which he said was caused by pushing the ramp-up process too hard. Not great. 60% sinker guy most of his career, now only 29.5%. Maybe the Chicago Cubs see something and say, hey, can you get back to that sinker fastball combo, and maybe say to yourself, you can get back up there. But his hit rate has been up. Expected slug was 307 4 seasons ago. It's now 420. 5.33 a record on the road. So 2.44 at spacious Petco Park. So there are some benefits. There are some fringe things here that have me just pausing and saying, okay, 3 years, $60, $75 million, give him the Jamison Tyone, and he does have great stuff, but there are a lot of other factors that you have to mitigate and work through to get to that great stuff, and that's the question mark that makes me pause about Michael King.
Corey, talking about sometimes you got to pay for that certainty. That's exactly what you're saying, and I agree with that. I mean, he's also not, his fastball's like 93 to 96. You're not talking about, I mean,
it's better for the Cubs. We're like, all right, but everybody else.
But it's still not that different from what they have. It's not 96 to 99.
And he looked good against us in the playoffs, to be very fair. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we were excited when Michael King exited the game.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff here. And that's the part that just confuses me is when you're giving these people guaranteed dollars, like, are you getting that guaranteed ROI? And why don't you just pay a little bit extra to ensure that ROI? And that's what scares me about Michael King.
There's a reason that he will be costing less.
Yes.
And I think we have a lot of that.
Yeah.
I think we have a lot of that already. All right. We're going to take a quick break here on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. After this, we're going to start grading Kyle Tucker
Don't
on
go
the CHGO
anywhere.
Cubs podcast. Hey, Cubs fans, Toyota has 25 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. The RAV4 has legendary versatility. The Grand Highlander's adult-sized third row is for real, and the Tacoma's wild side comes standard. From job sites to campsites and game nights, there's an all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive Toyota to get you there in style. Find yours at toyota.com or visit your Chicagoland Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. What a time it is to be a CHGO diehard.
That's a good place,
In
too.
the history of our world. Get access to our exclusive written content, a free t-shirt, plenty of discounts on merch and events, plus access to the Discord lounge where everybody that's cool hangs out. Go to allchgo.com for the latest information on how you can join thousands of diehards already in our CHGO community. We can't wait to connect with you. And don't forget to ask for the diehard card because it is instant cred wherever you go this holiday season.
And Cubs fans, we want to talk to you about Brunt. The best-selling Marin work boots are not only built for the toughest job sites, they're completely waterproof, so whether it's rain, standing water, your feet are always going to stay dry. It's the oily workshop floors or the muddy farm fields. Everywhere in between, the Marin 6-inch soft toe is built for workers across a variety of trades. It isn't just about work boots. They offer a wide range of high-performance gear built for the tough jobs, heavy-duty work pants, and weather-resistant jackets. Choosing work boots doesn't have to mean sacrificing comfort or liability or durability anymore. Brunt thought that through. They thought through all that BS and they built tough work boots for any situation, so no break-in and no sore feet. And that is the mission of founder Eric Girard, who grew up blue collar and started Brunt. His friend said, hey, don't be like those fashion brands. Do it for the working man. So head on over right now and check out Brunt. Listeners get $10 off their entire order with code CHGO at checkout, bruntworkwear.com, and use code CHGO.
Back on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by our friends at Toyota. We're getting ready to grade Kyle Tucker. He declined his qualifying offer from the Chicago Cubs. Certainly not surprising at all. What were you asking in the break about my Starbucks cup?
I was. I'm sure there's people in the chat that know.
This is a medicine ball,
There's
by the way.
there's a viral like Starbucks teddy bear cup that they're selling, and I was wondering if you saw one any in store. I
What
personally
do you mean by
love-
viral? Like people ask for a certain cup?
It's like, you know, they sell like they sell like cups and stuff or whatever. It's
Like
just
real
like their
cups
holiday.
or are they just these paper ones?
No, like a real like cup that you can buy. It's like $30 or
that you could
something.
reuse many
Yeah.
times.
But yeah, I was just wondering if you saw it.
No, but
Is it one of those things that's like it's hard to find?
Yeah,
so
because
you have
it's like
to.
their holiday one. The only
yeah.
reason why I don't like it is because it doesn't fit in any cup holders. That's what people have
that's
been
a
saying
problem.
about. That is
Okay,
a
yeah,
problem.
that's a problem.
Because it's like shaped as a bear.
Oh, yeah, I'm out on that. No, I did get it. At least my letter that they wrote this time, the little nuggets, warm and cozy is more appropriate than the yum they gave me the other day, which, again, I said, happily married man with children.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yum is a little, I'm
Like
not
Gary knows
even,
what I'm talking about.
I mean,
that's a little,
Oh, is it?
you
a little
can
aggressive.
speak truth, but sometimes
little-
keep it inside.
it's a little
Sometimes
aggressive.
keep
Listen,
it inside.
I know, but you don't have to tell me that.
Long
you know?
gone are the days when I would make my parents drive me to Burger King or McDonald's because they would have the Dream Team cups. They would have the Dream Team basketball player cups or like the Land Before Time toy giveaways, all that stuff. But now it's teddy bear.
It's a glass teddy bear, and it costs $36 for the cup. Who's doing their marketing? They're a genius. We should hire these people. All right, let's get to it. So we both agree. Michael King, I don't know how much he's.
Beautiful.
I see the cup now. I would just go buy one of those honey bears. You know, get the large sized plastic
Why don't the Cubs just do that? at
thing
this
of
point?
honey and then rinse it out after you use the honey, and you got a cup.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sometimes a tiny one, though. But
All right.
sure.
But I think they come in
Little
multiple
squeeze.
sizes.
We can move on now.
Okay, we can move on. Thanks, Sarah. That's what Sarah's here for. Keep us on track. All right, Kyle Tucker report card. Gary doesn't want to grade the guy because he's gone. Well, we all agree that he's 99.999% gone. You just don't hear any buzz anymore at all that Kyle Tucker will be back with the Cubs. In fact, Feinsand was saying the other day at the GM meetings that the team he keeps hearing over and over is the Blue Jays.
Interesting.
Maybe they were a player short.
I mean, yeah, possibly.
One moment short.
Well, look, it's a team. And this is a team, the Toronto Blue Jays, right? They took the Dodgers to Game 7 of the World Series. That's great. But also, when you're also in the position like you're the Chicago Cubs and you win 92 games and you make the playoffs, sometimes you get in the mood and the attitude to push in and say to yourself, can we just keep pushing this rock up this mountain and see if we get it, and eventually push it over. And if that's what the Toronto Blue Jays want to do and offer Kyle Tucker that money, they should go for it. I mean, I was looking, we're going to do some stuff with Baseball Savant, but expected home runs for Kyle Tucker per park. Toronto Blue Jays were definitely on the higher end of that. Guess what was on the lower end of that? Wrigley Field.
Oh.
But, it could be a place for Kyle Tucker for sure.
Gary says, just offer Tucker one for $80 million this year. No, never mind. Listen, I just don't. I think they made up their mind. I don't know if they made up their mind before they made that trade for Kyle Tucker, that it was guaranteed it was going to be a one and done. I think they hoped that it was going to be so great that there'd be more support and they'd be able to go to ownership and say, this is the guy we need.
No brainer, right?
And it was all of that early on. But then when it went downhill, there were a lot of things that soured some fans. I think there were some things that maybe even soured the organization just a little bit. And I think there were some things that soured him on the Cubs maybe even just a little bit. And so I don't think he's coming back. I don't even think he's considering the Cubs at this moment. That's just a feel. But let's give him his report card because he did play for the Cubs, at least for 1 year. I thought I saw a headline, his first season, and maybe most likely his last season in a Cubs uniform. There was so much talk about, let's get this superstar. Truth be told, Jed Hoyer admitted it. When the Cubs were at their best, Kyle Tucker was at his best.
Right.
Now, to be fair, it wasn't just Kyle Tucker. It was Kyle Tucker and Pete Crow Armstrong. When they were both at their best, the Cubs were at their best. Can they still repeat that if they can get Pete Crow Armstrong? I don't know. But I don't think the Cubs offense is going back to being as good as they were when Tucker was here and he was at his peak. I don't. So that means you better do it in pitching. So for my regular season, I looked at Kyle Tucker and I thought to myself, regular season, I'll give him a B because it wasn't linear. It wasn't steady. There's a guy that went through all these injuries, whether it was the finger or whatever was bothering him, the calf at the end of the year. He still ended up a 4.5 F-WAR, a 136 weighted runs created plus. What takes him then, because those both sound like, oh, that could be an A, that could be a B plus, that could be A minus. Well, there were the things I expected, and this wasn't a big reason I wanted him or liked him on the Cubs. I expected that he was going to be slightly better in right field.
-2 outs above average in right field this year. So average to subpar, however you want to look at that.
I thought he was going to be better defensively. Now, maybe he was protecting a contract. Maybe he's just not that good in the outfield. Maybe he's just not a super aggressive outfielder. And I had higher expectations, and I know injuries had a factor in this. I had way higher expectations than 22 home runs.
And 70-something RBIs.
Way higher expectations.
Yeah.
Are there factors to how we ended up getting there? Yes. But I still have a feeling that he played a part in why that happened anyways. Like, why did he end up at 22 home runs? Why did he end up with less than 80 RBI? Because he tried to play through injuries that we were being fed misinformation on. And a player can't go on the injured list unless he agrees to go on the injured list. So the whole thing was mishandled. I don't know who's fully to blame for it, but I can tell you this. I expected more than what happened, and injuries are a part of it, but I don't think the injuries were handled well by the organization or the player.
When it comes to Kyle Tucker, and you have the conversation of, is he a superstar or is he just a star? I think that's where, and look, good player, not walking away from that, but I think that's where it gets confusing for Cubs fans and even for the baseball geeks and analysts out there, because you say to yourself right field and you worry about how he ages. His sprint speed hasn't changed since he came up in the big leagues. He hasn't gotten any faster, hasn't gotten any slower. Exact same. His swing velocity isn't exactly upper echelon like Kyle Schwarber or Pete Alonso out there. So people are always asking, how is that going to play out moving forward? But at the same time, his walk rate was the second highest that it's ever been. His zone control was still really upper echelon and good and elite. And his chase rate actually went up a little bit. So it's like, how do you make sense of all this? How does he play himself out? And I think if you're the Cubs, I think they got really scared that when he got injured, everything tanked. And you know, the old thing of like the athlete who needs to be a Lamborghini. If the Lamborghini's running at 100%, he's driving 100 miles an hour. And if one little thing's off, it totally screws up the whole engine and you can't drive the car, right? And it's just as simple as first 95 games, slash line 280, 384 on base percentage, 499 slug for an 883 OPS. Game on. Give him money. Sign me up.
Extend Tucker. Hold up the signs in the bleachers.
What are we doing?
Friday
Why are we waiting?
Club.
Give him
Sarah
$500 million.
Sarah held him.
We'll rename the street. Forget Sheffield. It's called Tucker now. Final 41 games. 231 batting average. 360 on base. Still really good. 378 slug for a 738 OPS. Still above average, but still definitely not. Give him the money. And only 17 RBIs in 41 games over that span. Slugging percentage by month. March, 742 slugging percentage. Game on. April, 484. May, 485. June, 578. Slugging percentage in July, 295. August, 389. September, 316. And that's the thing. I think they know who Kyle Tucker is as the player, but if Kyle Tucker gets banged up, if Kyle Tucker isn't at his best, isn't at 100%, I don't think they know what kind of player that they're getting. And I think that eventually has what scared the Chicago Cubs outside of obviously the big money.
Is he a superstar?
I don't think so. I think he's a star. He's a guy whoever he signs with, if you put the over-under at 1.5 All-Star games, I'm probably going over, right? I think he's going to make 2 more All-Star games. But again, I don't know exactly what you're getting. Like even the steamer, the FGDC, which is Zips plus steamer projections for next year, only has him hitting 29 home runs with 86 RBIs, with a K rate going up and a walk rate going down. They're still pretty good numbers, right? But are those superstar numbers? That's the question. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think he's in between those two. When he's healthy, and that has been a big thing the last 2 years, when he's healthy, he's right in that mix with Vlad Guerrero. He's right in that mix with Soto. He's right in that mix with Freddie Freeman or Mookie Betts. Like, he is a star player. Is he a superstar player? Is he Ohtani? Is he Soto? Is he Judge? I'm not sure, because a lot relies on the health, and I know that relies for any player. Those guys aren't superstar players either if they're not healthy. But he's had this problem the last 2 years, and so
that's the question, right? Not to cross sports, but like, he's not Patrick Mahomes.
No.
And he's not Joe Burrow. He's not Josh Allen.
No.
Is he more like Justin Herbert? Like, he's pretty good.
Yes.
But is he really great? Is he elite?
That's a great comparison. I put him in the Justin Herbert. Like, that we keep thinking this is the year he puts himself in that group with the other guys. And I'm not saying he won't. He it might be 2 years that are blips. It might be some playoffs that were blips. And he might be on the Blue Jays or the Dodgers next year, and he might be healthy, and we all might say, oh, brutal. Cubs had him. They had him. All they had to do was throw the money at him. But if the Cubs are going to be this conservative, this isn't what we want, but if the Cubs are going to be this, yeah, we're bigger than the rest of the division, but we're conservative compared to the big boys in baseball, if that's the approach they're going to take, and it sure looks like that, then I don't know that you can afford to make him your first $300 million, first $200 million player, right?
Like, and there might be a $200 million player already on the team, and his name isn't Kyle Tucker.
Right. Okay, so now let's go. What was your regular season grade? You went higher than I did?
Oh, regular season grade.
I
went B plus. I still went B plus. Like my thing, I know we have to break, but my thing about it is just like, I know when you look back on it, I know the last couple of months were really difficult, but the top 7 OPS players for the Chicago Cubs since 2019 over the last 6 seasons: Rizzo 924 in 2019, Bryant 903 2019, Bellinger 881 2023, Bush 861 2025, Suzuki 848 2024, Baez 846 2019, and Tucker 841 in 2025. We all hold those seasons in a very high regard, and Tucker is a part of that list. So for the regular season, it isn't an A, but it's still pretty damn good, even though the last 2 months were awful. Make that make sense.
It was love. It just wasn't goo-goo gaga love. We're going to take a quick break. We'll continue the conversation about Tucker and, Sarah wants to talk Morel, maybe. CHGO Cubs next.
Hey, Cubs fans, it's cold outside, but it's never cold with Señorita Full Flavor THC Margarita that's rewriting the rules of happy hour. They're crafted by wine industry experts. Señorita blends real fruit juice, organic Mexican agave, and a hint of pink salt for that award-winning taste. It comes in 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams, so go at your own pace, and they deliver a smooth social buzz without the hangover. Perfect for tailgate coolers, game day on the couch, or anytime you're craving something deliciously different. Non-alcoholic, real juice, organic agave, fast onset THC, low calorie, no hangover. What more can you ask for? Remember, there's no booze in this baby, so it's available in 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams. No matter what you're celebrating, Victory Monday, or you just had a game, or maybe you're just trying to tip it back to the Cubs making some moves in the offseason, Señorita THC Margarita is the move because it's award-winning. So stock your cooler today. Visit and try it out now. Use the QR code on the screen, 20% off your first order with code CHGO. Again, 20% off your first order with that QR code for Señorita THC Margarita.
Omaha Steaks. From handcrafted steaks to delicious fall favorites, Omaha Steaks delivering the world's best steak experience. Enjoy USDA certified tender steaks, juicy burgers, cozy and convenient comfort foods, plus tailgating favorites like the chicken wings, smash burgers, and big deli-style franks. Right now, the Red Hot sale is going on, 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $35 off with the promo code Cubs. Little secret I'm going to give you guys. Here you go. They have the best halibut steaks anywhere. We love them. And you just thaw them, cook them up. They're caramel apple tartlets.
We've had them. They're so good.
Show up to Thanksgiving, they'll shove aside that whole apple pie and be like, give me more of those.
Dessert first.
10-ounce private reserve fillets. That's for me. Omaha Steaks has been America's original butcher since 1917. 50% off right now. omahasteaks.com, an extra $35 with the promo code Cubs.
Yum, yum, yum.
Grading Kyle Tucker in his first and most likely last season in a Chicago Cubs uniform. So what we're really trying to decide is, what's the letter grade we're giving a guy that will be removed from the Cubs lineup, removed from the Cubs defense? Like, we all liked what we saw early on. And so the regular season grades were B plus and B. Postseason. Now this is where, again, we've already gone through the massive drought that included the finger injury and what is going on with this guy. When is he going to come back? We all thought, well, he'll be back. The back of the baseball card says it's never going to. And then comes the calf injury. And he basically can't run. He's out for more time. This time they finally do sit him down.
But let's do drills in the outfield for like 4 days.
Yes. And the postseason grade I gave was D+. Honestly, I could have gone F. And I'm not saying injury wasn't involved in it. That's the only reason I'm going D+. The guy was hurt. He played hurt. And was injured Kyle Tucker a better option than the next guy up? Well, Owen Casey had a concussion, so we'll never know if that was even an option. But like D+, there's only one stat I need to look at. 27 at-bats. He had one playoff RBI, and it was a solo home run in a game that was decided.
Cubs were up 4-0 at that point in the 7th inning of Game 4, and he hit a bomb. Cool.
A solo bomb, which we all cheered for. I ate cake. I loved it. I ate more cake. I think I even called the homer. But you know what? One RBI in 2 postseason series. D+. D+.
Yeah.
We needed him desperately against the Brewers, and there was nothing.
I went C- because it was up in the air that he was even going to come back. I don't think we're that far away. It's almost like I believe we're borderline splitting hairs here. C- and D+. These are not good grades. I keep going back to 2 things. The first one, when you talk about that calf strain, injuries are tough. I understand that. Mm-hmm. But also I felt, again, that this was a mishandled situation by either Kyle Tucker, Craig Counsell, or the front office with Jed Hoyer and the training staff of allowing a guy who, first of all, he had felt it a couple days before, kept playing on it, removed himself from a game, and then proceeded to, over the course of 3 or 4 days, they allowed him to run around the outfield and do some drills and see if he can get back out there. It didn't work. He didn't make progress. They eventually had to put him on the injured list, and then he stayed on the injured list longer than they wanted. And if you're talking about trying to get to a playoffs and make some noise and get your best player back as healthy as possible, there's a part of me that wishes that they had just shut him down immediately.
Yes.
And just said, look, man,
yes,
this is too important. It's the middle of August right now. We can survive without you. I do not care about your contract. We are thinking about the best for you and the best for the team. We're sitting you down right now. They kind of belabored and pushed it back a little bit. Granted, he came back with a couple games to go. We'll never know what happens, but it would have been nice to have maybe that extra week. The only other one then is fast forward to Game 5. There's runners on base. Kyle Tucker is up. You need a huge hit. Or at the very least, you need a base hit just to get some juice and some feeling of momentum that you can turn this thing around and win this game. And he's grounding the ball out to second. And it's tough. You don't like to boil it down to one at bat. But when we're talking strictly postseason, dude simply just didn't show up and didn't have that difference-making production that we probably needed when Manny Machado's hitting the ball over the fence and William Contreras is destroying us and Jackson Churrio's coming back from injury and hitting 3-run bombs. Yep. It's Kyle Tucker. It's plain, it's simple, it's cruel, it's sports. He just didn't show up when we needed him the most.
We needed him to give us just a little bit of Kirk Gibson.
Something.
Right? I know you can't run. I know you can't run down to first base. But just jog around the bags after a couple of home runs. And all we got was the solo home run. It is a production-based business like most are. So it was show us whether you're hurt or not, somehow come through for this team like guys have. The way they handled the injury, the calf one, and also the calf one where you're talking about the plays in the outfield, it reeked when it was all said and done. I went back and thought about, like, where have I seen this before? This is like the NFC Championship where the Bears were dumb enough to put Cutler back on a bike.
Yeah.
Did him no favors. Put him on the bike as if he was coming back and he was just needed to warm up his legs. Okay, thanks. It reminded me of the way the Bulls handled D. Rose a lot of times. To be determined. We'll see.
Game time decision.
You know how many times I had to ask Tibbs, is Derek going to play today?
Yeah.
We'll see. You know, like every day. Just tell us what's going on. And in this case, I don't know that they had a better option than a limping, injured, at that time still struggling Kyle Tucker. But that's the reason that we traded all this for, was get us to the postseason and then deliver in the postseason. And deliver in the postseason wasn't there. Only because there was injury involved did I keep it at a D+. Otherwise, it's an F. So my overall grade, did you give your...
Oh, I went C-.
C-.
Yeah, C-.
You're such a nice guy. My overall grade for one season of Kyle Tucker was a B-. It was better than average for sure because of the beginning of it, right?
Right.
But the end result takes me away from keeping it in the real A-B range. And it was better than, as the kids say, mid. But that's only because it was so great early on. Because once he got hurt, it was mid to sus. Mid to sus. That's what it was.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay?
You're mixing it, baby.
You're
mixing it with some Riz right
kids
now.
Would say
He's really
Tucker
doing
started out elite, then he went to mid, and then he went to sus. And now he's going to go to another team.
It can't run away from that. Can't run away from that. I went with B because of, I think Born to Run 995 has an interesting comment here. Now, runners in scoring position hit 264. Walk rate was up. A lot of good stuff that you want to like about Kyle Tucker. I mean, maybe he's running away from Wrigley because at home he hit 236 with a 395 slug, and on the road he hit 292 with a 524 slug. But Born to Run's comment here. First half success of PCA and Seiya can be traced to having a feared bat in the lineup like Tucker. Without him on a similar replacement, this team will be a third place team behind the Reds. I think I'm giving Kyle Tucker maybe that tick up on that B because of what he did in those first couple months of the year. And he's not going to get credit, right? But if you say to yourself in 3 years, Pete Crow Armstrong is the best player on your team or Michael Busch is the best player on your team, PCA specifically, I think what PCA was able to benefit from with a really good Kyle Tucker in the lineup the first 2-3 months accelerated his development. I think it gave them a shot. And again, that Kyle Tucker's first couple months of the season, I can't take away from it because we played such great baseball that put us in a position to even make the playoffs in the first place. I think we were a 500 team the last couple months of the year. Guess what? Kyle Tucker was a 500 type player, right? And that's a correlation. That's a correlation right there. I know it ended bittersweet and in fact quite sour, but damn good baseball player the first couple months of the year. The question is now that Jed has done it a couple times now. He did it with Cody Bellinger. He did it with Kyle Tucker. I'm not expecting him, unless he went out and, of course, signed, hit the button, Kyle Schwarber, which is, everyone seems to be less likely by the day. I'm still holding out hope, and I'm saying my prayers at night.
25%.
But you need to find an 800 OPS plus player to put into this lineup next year. It can't just be Seiya Suzuki and Michael Busch only and hope the PCA scratches that surface with a complete season. You need one more of those guys. So I'm giving him a B overall. It's going to be sad to see him go. I do not regret the trade. All right. Cam Smith, whatever. We'll find out what happens. Happy to eat my words if he's a multi-time All-Star. Yeah. But these are the type of gambles that you want your general manager to take and make, whether they sign him or not, or whether he hits 2 whatever in the playoffs. That's part of gambling. That's part of the risk. I like that kind of risk. I like the kind of risk of spending $200 million on a player who's a multi-time All-Star, right? The risks that I don't like are sometimes the Michael King of the 3 years of $75 million and hoping that he goes up instead of a player that already was trending down.
Chef Kevin pointing out their record early on, 36-22. Couple things. Number one, I don't know how much he impacted the guys around him. That's a debatable. You'll never be able to know what the value of that. I heard JD on the broadcast or on the radio during the season saying, I'm not going to directly connect Tucker being there to Seiya having his best start to a season and PCA being off to this list. It's someone they can watch. It's someone they can look at and say, wow, he does this, or they can learn from. Does it automatically make them? Listen, when PCA was at the peak of his season, he wasn't swinging at strikes. He was swinging at everything. He just happened to be hitting it. Right. So that's not Tucker-esque.
Yeah, I would counter and just ask, like, how many sliders versus fastballs are you throwing with men on base? But yeah, JD knows more baseball than me, but I'd ask that.
I think it is related to Seiya, but remember, Tucker was still in the lineup when those guys also started struggling.
Yep.
Right? Like, it wasn't like he was gone because he wasn't going on the injured list. He just kept playing with a broken finger. And so I don't know that he was getting pitched totally differently because I think teams knew he wasn't right. The Brewers even said it. But I think they also feared that it was going to be the one game that they were going to be the team that he would wake up and feel better against. And so he still, I don't know the answer to that. All I know is we're taking out a player. What was the WAR? 4, 5?
He was 4.5, I believe, on the WAR. He's projected at 4.4 next year.
Okay, and that's just the average of what you're trying to replace. Okay, so I don't want the Cubs to have a player that's going to replace the 4.5 F-WAR. Mm-hmm. The Cubs lineup has to replace, I'll say it until I'm sick, the Cubs offense this offseason has to replace Kyle Tucker from the beginning of the season. The guy that had us chanting, pay the man, the guy that had us putting up the signs, extend Tucker, that's the player you have to replace in the lineup because that's what took their offense to this elite level. I don't know where they're going to do, where or how they can possibly do that this offseason. So then the focus has to become, okay, they got to get close to just the 4.5, and then you have to just invest in pitching, and hope for the best.
I thought about this the other day, and what would you say if I think the mandate, and we all agree, is I think the Cubs need to bring in some more pitching, and they're going to probably spend some money on that. But in terms of the offense, and when you're talking about that replacement, what would you say? And this isn't likely, but hypothetical, if you opened up your phone tomorrow and you found out that they signed Michael Busch to an $100+ million extension and signed PCA to a $200 million extension, do you think that's enough? And do you think maybe the Cubs think that Michael Busch is the in-house replacement for that Kyle Tucker production? Now, granted, they were both on the team at the same time last year. But now this is a guy that now led the team in home runs at 34. He has more WRC plus than Kyle Tucker, got a more WAR than Kyle Tucker, had a more higher OPS than Kyle Tucker. And you would think that he is a player. When we talk about investment and you're worried about Kyle Tucker, is the production going to go down? You could talk me into Michael Busch's production maybe going up over the next year or two.
Well, Michael Busch and Pete Crow Armstrong have shown us this. Each year they've been on the Cubs team, there has been growth. We talk about it with Caleb Williams. Do you see growth?
Like this.
Wow, you've seen growth out of both of them offensively, no question about it. Now, there have been more maybe peaks and valleys and PCAs, but his peaks were absolute mountaintops. And so we'll see will they continue that climb. If you're looking at it like a stock and it's going up and you're watching it for a couple years, when you zoom out and do it for year 3, are you going to look at it and say, yep, still climbing, still seeing all that progress? I don't know what those deals are going to be like if they're willing to accept it. For one, we have to see Busch finally face pitchers from both sides.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah. Why not?
That's the first step, is just putting some trust in him and saying, yeah, you can do it. Now, I think it's a lot to expect to replace him offensively. I saw somebody say Byron Buxton. Okay. Listen, they got to find somebody that fits that mix. I don't know that the offense is fixed. Gary loves Mo Baller. Some people love Owen Casey. People think that PCA and Busch alone will be enough and Seiya will be great and we'll all be eating grapes from each other's hands. I don't know. But I think there's a big need offensively still on this team, and I don't know if the Cubs are going to fill it.
The part that I can't reconcile is that any sport, we've all been watching sports for a long time, and we've seen our teams. And typically what happens is, and what did the Cubs do in 2021? They traded the Cubby core, they tore it down, and Jed said, I want to build the next great Cubs team. Yeah. So the team stunk for a couple of years.
Yeah.
It's not new to sports. But what you try and do is you stink for a couple of years, and then you start slowly building up year by year to try and build a consistent perennial contender. And then you open up a window and you try and go for it and win a championship. Chicago Cubs, after back-to-back 83-win seasons, are now at 92 wins. The part that I can't reconcile is that I'm terrified that we're still sitting in this below expectations, exceed projections Chicago Cubs. And what does that get you over the next couple of years? Because right now, as evidenced by what happened this year, it should be go time for the Chicago Cubs to go for it and challenge, not just for the National League, but perhaps for the World Series in the next 2 or 3 years. And these moves that we're seeing, Kyle Tucker aside, to your point, how are they going to supplement some of the talent that they're letting go? And are they going to keep kind of rolling the dice on some of these reclamation projects or these guys that they're hopefully going to take that arrow and with a wrench turn it up and hopefully have a successful season next year? Below expectations, exceed projections. That's what I'm terrified of. And from a 92-win team, that's the part that I can't wrap my head around. Like, what's the plan? Like, in 2 years, are they going to gut the team and start over again and say, well, we tried with 2 83-win teams, a 92-win team, and who knows what happens next year? Is that really going for it? Is that success? What does that mean? I don't understand that.
Who just had this born to run said wishing and hoping. That's what I'm talking about. We've had years of wishing and hoping. Now, last offseason, when it was all said and done, and they acquired Tucker, which was a bold move, knowing that it could be exactly this, a one-year rental. And I don't know that they had decided that. Again, I think they maybe thought they were going to go for it. And I don't disagree with the trade. I still loved it because at the beginning, they looked like a team that might contend for the World Series. And they still got to the postseason, and they still got to the second round. Now, he wasn't necessarily a reason they got through the first round of playoffs and into the second round and one away from going on to the NLCS. But he was a big reason that they were in position to do that because of the way he played early in the season. Wishing and hoping sucks. It sucks. And my big thing still goes back to this, and probably every podcast could end with this. I don't know if the Cubs will be pushing their chips more all in on some of these guys, whether it's Schwarber and Cease. We don't know where that's going yet, but it still doesn't feel like that's happening, right? Because we haven't seen it.
Industry professionals aren't name checking us and say, hey, keep an eye on the big fish and the Cubs. It's just not happening right now.
I keep hearing, well, they've never spent $200 million. This guy's not going to be a $200 million. That's not where they're going to break the barrier. This guy's not worth $200 million. This guy's not worth $300 million. This guy's not worth $500 million.
One player on our payroll right now making over $100 million in the totality of his contract. Only one right now. We had at least 2 in 2020. So how does this keep going further when market and prices keep going up? You know, it doesn't make any sense.
Would they have spent the money if this excuse of the work stoppage on the horizon weren't there? Would all the things we're wishing for, right? Add Cease, add Schwarber. That's the off season we're all talking about, right?
Yeah.
Am I Schwarber? No, it's not. It's Cease and Mackenzie Gore, and it's Schwarber. Yeah, those are the types of off seasons we're hoping for.
Like
when you're one win away from the NLCS. That's
the
what we're hoping
Schwarber
for.
thing is such a slam dunk from like a PR perspective and an on-field perspective that like there isn't somebody in a boardroom that isn't happy with that type of decision. And frankly, you know, we're going to keep talking about it, and it's going to be looming like a cloud overall next season and this offseason about possible CBA lockout. It's starting to view a little bit more like a straw man to me. Because if you are a team that goes over to the luxury tax consistently and it's more and more punitive and all that stuff, you don't like those rules, so you would like just like a hard salary cap, okay, you can talk that. The Cubs don't go over that. They never do. They have their own imposed restraint and constraint on what their salary cap is. I guess my question would be, if we snap our fingers and it's 2027, 2028, and there's now a salary cap in baseball, can you guarantee, if you are the Chicago Cubs, that you're going to spend up to that cap? I can't sit here and confidently say that they would do that right now. So putting this on the CBA uncertainty and the lockout and stuff doesn't make any sense, right? They're not paying the players while there's a lockout, right? It just gets like prorated out. Like, so I don't understand saying that. It's never been a problem for the Cubs before. They don't worry about the luxury tax because they don't go to it.
So you know what they like to do? They like to find great deals.
Sure.
The old blue light special at Kmart. They love a Brad Keller. They love a Matthew Boyd.
Matthew Boyd's been great. Carson Kelly's been great.
Some of them were big hits.
Yes.
And I have to give them credit for all of those deals they made. But you still need to swing with the big boys when it's time to swing with the big boys. And if you're looking for a deal, we're saying, how are you going to replace Tucker, first half Tucker? How do you replace that guy in your lineup? Sarah said, hey, Morel was DFA'd by Tampa. Oh, that wasn't you, Sarah? That was not
Don't bring me into this.
Come on.
Is there anybody in the chat that says, you know what, if he slides through, the only way I think it would happen is if he's a non-roster invitee to spring training. I think somebody, AKA like the White Sox, will say, what the heck? Why not roll the dice on this? We're not there yet, but if we catch lightning in a bottle, he's still only 26 and he still has power. We've seen it. It beat us multiple times.
You want to know who's better? Matt Shaw. Matt Shaw
100%.
is 100% better.
Well, he's more consistent.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Shaw had his struggles at bat, but third base
defensively
all day
he's
long.
way better. Yes.
Yeah, all day long.
That's another thing is Morel's defense has not
it hasn't improved.
developed at all.
Hasn't developed at all, and unfortunately, the whiff rate probably skyrocketed last year. Tampa Bay gave him a full opportunity, and it just didn't work out. And I will say that I'm not interested in a reunion with Christopher Morel. Unless it is
in any form.
No, a non-roster invitee, of course. I mean, he's a good person. He was an exciting player with a great attitude. If he were to turn his game around and in a pinch we had an injury and he got called up and could contribute, I think that would be a plus for the Cubs. I think the White Sox is honestly a great idea on that side of town. But again, like, sometimes he's also a bit of a cautionary tale of letting guys, sometimes when you let guys develop and you say, we're going to take the bumps, we're going to take the bruises, sometimes they just don't develop in the fully formed player that you want them to be. So again, I get it. Mo Baller, I love those 60 at-bats from Mo Baller were some of the best ones I've ever seen. And Owen Casey's the future in right field or whatever it is. Maybe that is true. But we already have guys in our lineup that are developing, like Matt Shaw and the PCA currently in progress. The more guys that you add in the developmental stage into your lineup, the more ups and downs and streakiness that you're going to have. Christopher Morel is a great example of that, and unfortunately, he didn't work out. So be careful what you wish for when you say get rid of all these guys and just let the kids play. That's just usually sometimes where I land on that stuff.
I mean, I think, Luke, what you said, him going to the Sox is like, that's actually a pretty good deal.
They need a right fielder and they need a third baseman too.
And
Sox Pirates.
He's not bad. He's still a good player, and I think the Sox is a team where he probably could shine in because everyone's developing on that team.
I mean, I don't think he's done in the major leagues. I don't. That's why I don't think he's coming to somebody on like the Cubs for a non-roster invitee to spring training.
He's in a tough spot.
But somebody said, so you're saying is we can have Morel and Tauchman back on the same team in Chicago. What year is this? Tater Workman. Oh, Tater Workman.
Matt Caesar. Yeah, Tater Workman. Let's get John Birdie back in the mix. Vidal Brujan. You realize we have like no one on our bench right now. I was thinking about that the other day too. I was like, because they're not bringing Willie Castro back.
Bullpen.
They're not bringing Turner back. We don't have a bullpen right now. I read a report that people were looking at Brad Keller as a possible return to a starter position. We ain't doing that. So there's a lot of work to be done. They're obviously going to do it. They're going to find it. And as you said, you can find great value. And Jed has done a good job in, think of it like 3 levels or maybe like a lasagna in the middle there. Jed's did okay on the middle. But the top end, though.
Who's the ricotta cheese?
That's a great question. Is that Michael Bush?
I don't know.
I don't know. How big of a ricotta cheese guy are you, honestly? Or is he the Nico Horner, just always consistent in there?
He's just the cheese.
But the thing is also, never forget, like, when you're building whatever it is, if you're trying to decorate a living room, you get a great deal on the drapes. You get a great deal on the carpeting. You get a good deal on the coffee table. But you know what you want to spend nice money on? The couch and the TV.
Yeah,
because that's the stuff that you're going to be depending on the most when you're hanging out in that living room. So you can't just always go around the fringes and try and find the best deal on every single part of the thing that you're trying to put together.
What team will Morel end up on?
I saw Pirates in the chat. Yeah. That's a good guess.
Pirates Reds, White Sox.
White Sox definitely because they're teaching their hitters how to go after fastball better. A's is a great one.
It's going to be either the Reds, the Pirates, or the Sox. It's those 3.
Diamondbacks, while they're trying, they got a prospect at third base.
Oh, Rockies. Think of all the home runs he can hit for the Rockies.
He's not going to go to the Rockies.
Well, sure, he could play third base.
Well, I guess he'd be their best player. Yeah.
They had a third baseman.
Man, oh man.
That's tough. That's a tough one.
Is Bodie still available? Is he? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, Bodie. Look at all these options here.
And we do want to point out, as Gary pointed out, Triantos to the 40-man. Triantos to the 40-man. So there it is.
This is a
Gary.
great comment real quick. Brewers, and then he hits 50 bombs.
Yeah, right. That's the most likely thing.
That's what happens to everybody.
Yeah, he'll go to the Brewers and he'll put it all together.
Yeah, they'll win a World Series then.
Well, no, I doubt that.
Good for Triantos. I'm not hitting the trade Nico Horner button right now. We got holidays coming up. I want to stay in a good mood. I ain't doing it right now.
Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by our friends at Toyota. This was fun. Thanks to everybody in the live YouTube chat. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a total stranger, and then tell a total stranger's neighbor about the CHGO Cubs YouTube channel. Give it a like, subscribe, all those things, please. Mm-hmm. And we will be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock to talk more Cubs baseball with you, the sickos and diehards. See you tomorrow, and don't forget, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.